Understanding your buyers. My wife and I were recently driving from Salt Lake City, Utah down to Las Vegas, and fortunately we have similar tastes in music. I can't imagine how challenging it would be if one person liked, say, light classical while the other preferred heavy rock. Come to think of it, I can imagine how it would be because I've been in a similar situation with a work colleague many years ago. We had to drive from London to Scotland, and it was 8 hours of torture. Mind you, he probably felt the same way about my music selection. Anyway, we were on our road trip, just the two of us in the car, and out of the blue, Lucy, my wife, says, "Wow, the words to this song are powerful, aren't they?" Well, that observation stopped me in my tracks because, truthfully, I hadn't been listening to the words at all. I couldn't even begin to offer even the slightest insight about them because I'd only been listening to the melody, and I'd completely ignored the words. It was as if the words had just washed over me. When I explained this to Lucy, it prompted a lively discussion about how we each listen to music. And indeed, it turned out that Lucy mainly listens to the words, whereas I'm much more interested in the melody. Well, this was quite a revelation to me. I had assumed for years that everyone listened to the tune first and that the words were secondary. It dawned on me like a lightning bolt that I had been totally in the dark about this. I discovered that many people do listen very carefully to the words as their main focus, and that the melody is less important to them. Amazing! So that situation reminded me of a lesson that I discovered some years ago. The point of the lesson being that we all have a different way of buying, and if we're in business to sell, we tend to sell like we buy. Let me repeat that. We tend to sell like we buy, because we think everyone else is the same as us. So let's explain this further. If you're the type of buyer that shops around and compares prices, you'll tend to also sell in that way. You'll unwittingly encourage your customers to shop around and compare, or at least you'll point out to them that your prices are lower than others. If you're the type of buyer that looks for convenience above all else, again, you'll tend to sell in the same way. You'll emphasize the convenience of buying from you above other factors. If you're the type of person that buys on impulse, regardless of whether you can afford it, you'll encourage others to do the same. And again, that will come through strongly in the words that you use to sell whatever it is that you're selling. If you're the type of person that likes to seek approval from your husband or wife or partner, then again, you'll tend to sell in that way. You'll acknowledge that the buyer will probably need to seek approval for the purchase. Now, obviously, all this is involuntary. We can't help it because it's ingrained. Again, to reinforce the point, just as with music where different people focus subconsciously on different aspects of a song, each of us tends to buy in different ways because we automatically assume that others are the same as us. Now, there's a great danger in selling like we buy because not everyone is like us. Everyone's different. So it follows that if we assume every customer buys like we buy, we'll only have success a small amount of the time when there's a match in the personality types. Now that you're aware of this issue, you need to do something about it. The first step is to identify your buying traits. In line with the examples I just mentioned, what do you look for primarily when making a purchase? It might be one of the things I previously highlighted. It might be something else. If there are several things, write them down so you'll easily remember them. Once you have them in mind, you can devise your eBay listings or website copy much more carefully, making sure that you don't bias the words that you use towards the way that you buy. And that alone will make your copy much more effective, whether it's on eBay or on your own website. Now, what does make this a little challenging is that obviously you can't see your customer. And it's one of the downsides to selling online, including on eBay. Because if you were able to talk to customers directly, if you were able to see their facial expressions and demeanor, then you'd be able to tailor your comments much more effectively to be able to persuade them. Right now, we obviously don't have that luxury, although innovations like Skype will probably help that process over the next few years, because we'll be able to hear a customer comment and we'll be able to hear their potential concerns in that voice conversation, and that will be extremely valuable. As a side note, we need more eBayers using Skype, so spread the word about it. So although we can't see our buyers right now, we can usually identify certain traits about them based on what we are selling. It's well worthwhile thinking about what age range they are, for example, whether they tend to be male or female, how passionate they are about the particular topic, and so on. Beyond those things, try and acknowledge the variety of customer buying traits that will come across your listings. If you recognize as many of these traits as possible within your auction descriptions, you'll sell more. It's as simple as that. Why is that? Because they'll feel as if you're talking directly to them. They'll relate to what you say. Obviously, this is a crucial lesson in buyer psychology that most eBay sellers are completely in the dark about. End of article. If you enjoyed this article and you'd like to know more about how you can use eBay as a marketing tool for your business, grab the special pack of training materials I've put together for free at www.sendmyfreegift.com. Head on over there now to www.sendmyfreegift.com.